Hello internets, this is Bone Carlos coming to you live from Cloud Kingdom, and I'm bringing to you another StarCraft 2 commentary. This one is obviously going to be Protoss versus Protoss, as you can see by the Nexus. No kitty, I don't care, I'm casting. Will you leave me alone? Anyways, overbearing cat only likes to bother me when I am busy doing something. So here it is. So anyways, like I was saying before, PvP, spawning as the blue pieces is going to be Sneaky, and his opponent is going to be ovomexido, spawning as the red version of the same race. Now both players have already put down their pylon. Ovo is putting it down right at the base, or at the top of the ramp. Sneaky is going to put them right next to that Nexi. Now both players I believe are silver, so expect some low level play, but that is a-okay because everyone's got to start somewhere, right? We don't all start off Gosu, High Diamond Masters, Grand Masters level player. We all have to pick up our boots and get to work. And already Ovo is putting down an assimilator first. Not sure exactly what he's going for there. He immediately puts down 3 probes into that assimilator. He's going ahead and try to chase off, or actually Sneaky is going to go ahead and pummel away at Mexido's probe there. And Mexido is just saying, "Don't kill me, please. I want to live." But that's okay because Sneaky is going ahead and going to try to chase away Ovo's own probe, and he already has down his gateway and put down a similar, so more of a standard build by Sneaky, while Ovo is just looks like he wanted to put down a second assimilator, but looks like actually Sneaky wanted to try to do a gas steal. Finally, Sneaky gets that kill. First blood does go to Sneaky, and that probe is pretty much paid for itself. Ovo finally put down his gateway, put down a second pylon, and he has 4 harvesters on gas. Ovo, if you're listening, 3 is enough. That's all you really need. You actually had 3 to begin with. Not sure why you decided to put down another one there. But that's just something you might want to watch out for in future games. Sneaky looks like he is just putting down a cybernetic score, putting down a second assimilator. So right now he's just looking like he's doing a very basic play. Already has a second assimilator up. More than likely going to put down 3 probes. Come on, get those 3 probes in there. Right away, while Ovo is doing something a little bit different. Already has 200 gas, so I expect him to put down some sort of maybe DT harass, maybe try to do a wall off with the cybernetic score, put down a Stargate perhaps, something high tech. And Sneaky is sneaking by, but Ovo did catch him. He's already sending out a probe to scout off and make sure that Sneaky doesn't leave just a probe out there for to put in some sort of pylon in his base. And with 3 probes chasing away Sneaky, I actually expect Ovo to doing some sort of quote-unquote cheesy build. More than likely gonna do DTs, but without that second assimilator, I'm interested to see exactly what he's up to. Already has a cybernetic score, so his tech path will be secured any second. Now we already see Sneaky already coming out with a single stalker, and if I were Sneaky, just chrono boost out this stalker, chrono boost out his zealot, and just shove your units down Ovo's store. In fact, just go for a straight 4 gate. You already know that his original gateway is very late because you were just scouting around his base for the longest time. That means his cybernetic score is very late as well. He's not going to have any sort of mass sentry play going on since you know that cybernetic score is so late. So if you chrono boost out that cybernetic score on that warp gate research and pull out I don't know, a 4 gate at like the 5:45, 6 minute time, he's not going to have enough sentries to completely wall off. He might have 1, he might have 2, and at the time you start attacking, he'll have enough for 2, maybe 3 force fields, and by that time just keep pressuring him and you will be able to bust through that front. We already actually see a Sneaky putting down a proxy pylon kind of in the general vicinity of that base. We already see that finally that assimilator that was that gas steal, the assimilator is finally down, and both players are just hanging out. We see a robotics bay by Sneaky, so hopefully we see some warp prism harass And right now, both players are just kind of floating around in the middle of the pack. He has a decent saturation here, but you want to continually start churning out those probes up in your... just continually churning them out. And you already want to have your second base up pretty soon, especially if you're not going to do any sort of attacking anytime soon. This probe is not going to see anything. It's going to go ahead and be chased away by that double stalker and single zealot attack. And Ovo decided to not do anything with his assimilator just yet. We see 3 and 3 on each of Sneaky's assimilators, so good job on that part. Already having a forge, so upgrades are going to be into the mix. And judging by the forge to this early in the game, I would say he's going to expect to see a long macro play where I see 3 assimilators back down into Ovo's base, or into Ovo's cylinder, but still 4 on that first one. A couple of warp ins here and there, and nothing too crazy is going on. We see Sneaky already putting down his next eye, and looking at the scouting, we see nothing beyond the initial scout for Ovo, and we see pretty much what we saw so far from Sneaky. And now I believe it would be a great time for a commercial break.
Gazizza Dills Nubus's Bill McNeil saying get with the crizappy taste of Rocket Fuel malt liquor. Rocket Fuel's got the upstate prison flavor that keeps you ugly all night long. So when you want to get sick, remember, nothing makes your feet stank like Rocket Fuel malt liquor. Damn, it's crizappy.
And we are back. In the meantime, we saw Ovo put down a robotics facility and a robotics play with a forge of his own. So Colossus play underway, but Immortals are going to be in Sneaky's repertoire, as it were. He's still not stopped churning out those probes, and a mass exodus of probes. A great transfer. The timing was correct, but really you want to have about half of that, since pretty much your main base is not saturated whatsoever. If you go ahead and use only spend about a half of what you sent over, you could rally your both of these workers to each next site, to each mineral patch, just fine. Here you're gonna be pretty much maxed out, and maxed out in the mining aspect of this at this natural expansion quite soon, and then you're gonna have to do another transfer back. So just a little tip for you in case you decide to do something like that. Again, a photon cannon at the high ground just in case there is some sort of sneaky shenanigans, like some sort of DT harass or DT rush. But an observer is already in Ovo's base. He's gonna go ahead and see everything. Gonna go ahead and scout out that Colossus tech being churned out, and Luke's gonna see a nice saturation from Ovo. He actually has a perfect saturation on, quote unquote, perfect saturation on his main base. Taking a look at the APM count, around 58, 51 average for both players, and this is actually where I'm at the moment. I think I peak at 65 or so throughout my game. So good APM, I guess, especially if it isn't just repetitive button mashing here and there. We see a drone transfer by Ovo, and actually this is the drone transfer, or the probe transfers numbers that I was talking about. Good probe transfer. He actually still has a nice saturation at his main base, and he's still continuing to burn out those harvesters. And right now the harvester count is 35 to 30 in the favor of Ovo. So not too crazy, nothing too crazy. From that, we see a chrono boosting out that +1 attack already, and we actually see no upgrades on the side of Sneaky. Do we see any upgrades for Ovo? And nope, not just yet, but he does have the Colossus already up and running. We see his observer does get, it looks like his observer got picked off, or he just killed his own unit, but no, the observer is still alive, so something was destroyed here. Not sure exactly what Ovo was attacking, but Sneaky does have a probe at the forward Zelnaga tower for his own, so he's going to have great vision if that attack does come. A double robotics facility from Sneaky, so we're actually expecting to see a bunch of Immortal play. From what I've seen, both players are actually keeping their minerals down, which is great. But I would just like to see him continue that macro management, especially on that probe production from Sneaky for a good solid 2-3 minutes. He wasn't making any probes, and you generally want to keep making probes up until you get your second expansion completely mined out. That way you can just bunny hop your probes to your third, to your fourth, to your fifth, or however many expansions you're going to need. Always putting down a couple of more gateways, so that brings up the total to 5. And 1 robotics facility, so we're about the right number you want on 2 bases. While Sneaky is going to go ahead and build his third, it looks like his third gateway, and he already put down Yeah, so 3 gateways, 2 robotics facility, 2 robotics facility with a robotics bay coming up. So yeah, 3 gateways, 2 robos, pretty much the same, pretty much what you want around 2 bases. No probes on this simulator just yet. I would like to see exactly how long that lasts. And we finally see those gateways turning into warp gates, and both players are just kind of hanging out, not doing much. And this is where actually looks like this observer is finally gonna get picked. Boom, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there goes that observer. We see a Twilight Council down and up and running, so let's hope Blink or some sort of charge is being researched. It looks like Ovo is channeling a healthy amount of minerals, and from what I can see about both of these players, you've got finally a Warp Prism does go down. But that Warp Prism should have been down a long time ago. Start the harassment, start attacking your opponents, drops here, attacks in the front, and we actually see Ovo going for his 3rd expansion. Not sure if he sees that pylon just yet. Nope, he doesn't. It's just out of range, but I'm sure as soon as this Nexus is done building, the field of vision might actually get it in view of this pylon. Both players are just finally just kind of picking up a sentry, and it looks like a couple of zealots. Not sure exactly what else he's going to pick up. More than likely a single zealot. But with this many immortals, I would actually like to see Sneaky put down 2 immortals into this warp prism and just drop it here, and see how fast these probes melt. Especially, and if you drop it here, these pylons will actually go down very quickly. This Twilight Council will be easy pickings, and a single zealot was warped in at the front. Going to go ahead and scatter around and catch this 3rd base. It's going to start hacking away at it, but Ovo wants none of that, and he's going to go ahead and push forward and just going to take it out. This observer is actually a new observer is on the front lines. Going to go ahead and scatter around, see what's going on, and extend the thermal lines is going to be chrono boosted out, but Ovo already has it up and running. Sneaky's food count is 106 compared to the 103 of Ovo, so very, very, very even match in terms of that, but no units have been killed, really. I mean, we see 3 units killed by Sneaky, 6 for Ovo, but you know, most of that was in that worker count, and nothing else has been destroyed just yet. Looking over at the income tab, we see the harvesters 4440, so generally around the same as it was about 5 to 10 minutes ago, and it actually looks like the income count has actually evened out. But once this 3rd base gets up and running, gets saturated, that is going to change quite drastically. And here comes that drop. Actually, the drop is actually in the wrong spot. The army of Ovo is right there. Looks like Sneaky is just going to go ahead and drop his Zealot's going to get a couple of those kills, but that Colossus is there. Force field does prevent the Stalkers from getting there, but with that 8 range, I believe it's 7 or 8 range, those Colossus did take care of that drop. Stalkers finished off that Warp Prism. Use that observer next time, Sneaky. Find out where the army is of your opponent and attack where it isn't. You're gonna go ahead and push forward with your observer, poked forward, but then pulled back, saw that army, and then swung your Warp Prism around and attacked from the rear. You could have gotten a bunch of more kills that way. Finally, and we see a couple of Colossi for Sneaky, and looking at the units tab, we see 3 Zealots, 4 Sneaky, 7 Immortals, 2 Colossi, 4 Stalkers, and 5 Sentries. Wow. In the corner of Ovo, we actually see 1 Zealot, 3 Colossi, 35 Stalkers, and 4 Sentries. So this immortal count, this immortal versus stalker count, is really going to be what decides this battle. Blink is being researched by Ovo. Good choice, especially with that amount of stalkers. And if he's able to blink micro, he could actually win this. Win these engagements, especially if he engages on equal footing. Just blink away the damaged stalkers, keep his stalkers alive, and they'll slowly whittle away the shields of the immortals. Taking a look at the upgrade count, we see +1 attack, +1 armor. We see double forges, triple forges for Sneaky. So it looks like the upgrades will come into play very much so for himself, and we actually only see 1 forge for Ovo, but his units do have 1/1 upgrades, so on equal footing with Sneaky's forces at the moment. But with the 3 forges, we might see a bit of a difference, especially since he is chrono boosting that out. But what isn't the difference is finally the food count differential is clearly in Ovo's corner. We see 174 to 132. Oh, Sneaky finally takes his 3rd, but Ovo's third has already been up and running. Still no saturation just yet. We actually have plenty of probes that can be transferred since his main base is practically mined out. We finally see some movement of the armies, and look in the production tab for Sneakies. Those 3 upgrades are there. A probe does get churned up and fried by those colossi, and that was enough for Ovo to say, whoa, 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 whoa. A probe attacking me? I'm just going to go ahead and play a little bit more defensively. I don't know what's going on. If there's a probe in the mix, I'm going to go ahead and pull back, rejoin with my other colossi, and then go ahead and push forward yet again. We actually see plenty of pylons are going to be there. One is going to be taken out. No cancel on that. Nope. It looks like a cancel on that first one that was put down, so he does save himself 75 minerals, and that third base is finally up for Sneaky, and looks like a nice transfer of probes there to that third, but looks like the attack is finally commencing. 182 for 182 food count for Ovo, and it looks like he's just going to go ahead and take out his frustrations on those destructible rocks. 5 volleys later, it does shatter into even smaller rocks. This forward pylon is going to be taken down by Ovo. Looks like he's going to go and push straight forward into the third base of Sneaky, and looks like we're going to see a huge, actually see a small ball of units from Sneaky, but these Stalkers are going to go ahead and attack right away. The Immortals aren't in range quite yet. The blink forward does occur, completely surround a couple of these Colossi that were just on a move. Finally, Sneaky decides to pull back and start churning away at the numbers. The Immortal count is falling. The Immortal count is done. The Stalkers are victorious in that aspect. One Colossi does finally go down, and one left for Ovo, but it looks like the Stalker count is too great. No blinkage just yet. Finally, the Colossi does go down. One Colossi left for Sneaky, and that is it. Ovo's army was completely whittled down, and again, it was due to the fact because of these Immortals. 12 kills on one, 6 kills on the other. This Colossi actually had 7 kills of its own. It was a nice blink forward by Ovo. Took care of most of these Immortals and a couple of those Colossi, but at that point, he should have started blinking back his damage. Stalkers would have saved himself a ton of units and might have caused a different outcome in that battle. But right now, looking at the unit slot side, we see 58 for Ovo, 43 for Sneaky, so the resources count does definitely favor Sneaky at the moment. And right now, that earlier base is pretty much just null and void with that lost attack, and we see Sneaky being sneaky yet again by taking this crazy expansion, especially since it is behind the 4th of Ovo. So good luck for him. Hopefully that does not get spotted. A couple of warp prisms for Sneaky, a double-pronged drop harass, maybe a drop here, a warp in here, attack in the front. That would be great, fantastic play at the moment, especially since you got a pretty decisive victory in this on this engagement. You pretty much took out all of Ovo's army while taking pretty much taking equal damage in return, but really didn't lose those higher tech units like Ovo did. He lost pretty much all. He lost all of his Colossi. You managed to save one. Managed to save a couple of those Immortals. So right now, more warp gates are being put down, more gateways are being put down, Templar archives are finished up, and finally, those 3 forges are pretty much paying for themselves. Right now, Sneaky's upgrades are 212 for armor, shields, and weapons, respectively, while in Ovo's corner, it looks like he only has one upgrade. He completely forgot about his upgrades. That's going to cost him dearly in the long run. He does have a Stargate up, starting to produce those Void Rays, and right now, it's actually a decent tech switch since you saw that Immortal heavy army from Sneaky. Right now, both players are at exactly 122 to 122. A fresh warp-in does bump that number to 126 over 200, and it looks like he's still continuing to produce those probes and actually putting down an observer yet again. This similar is a bit lonely though. Might want to put some probes into there, start mining that gas. The 4th Sneaky base from Sneaky is up, and an observer is going to go ahead and casually fly around the map and see exactly where the army of Sneaky is. Both players are still just hovering, I would say, pretty defensively. They don't really know exactly what to do at this point. The average APM is still about the same as we checked in about 10 minutes ago, so nothing too crazy as of right now. And Sneaky really just start using these warp prisms, load up a couple of Archons into them, a couple more here, and then drop them here, and then while the army is forced to choose which way to go, just shove the rest of your army down into Ovo's base. Wherever the army of Ovo goes, attack there, and he can't defend them all. If you drop here and you drop here, he's going to be forced to split his army to take care of the 2 drops, and at the moment when he takes off with his army, force your army down this throw, and something is going to give. Something is going to give. You're not going to be Ovo is not going to be able to defend against all 3 drops, and you're either going to cause huge economic damage by taking out these probes, or just going to take out your opponent's infrastructure with this drop here, or you're going to take out this natural expansion along the way. So use those warp prisms that you built. It looks like he's finally doing so. 1 drop is going to happen right here. It looks like a plenty of drones probes are going to be churned up. 4 kills already happening, and looks like the warping of these zealots does occur, and this poor Archon is stuck in the back. Sneaky finally sees that, gonna go ahead and take it up, and finally the army of Ovo is there. And where is that second warp prism? There it is. This is the time where you want to drop it here. Drop it here. You wanted to have your army in position here to force your army to attack down this avenue of attack here. So everything was perfect. The timing was just a bit off. Finally that drop does happen. So nice attack with these Archons. A fresh warping with these zealots are going to go ahead and cause a tremendous amounts of damage. Already all those probes are done. 7 kills for one, 6 kills for another. The army for Ovo finally does catch up. And where is your army, Sneaky? Your army's back here. Your army needed to be here. You are scouting with this probe, with this Zolnaga tower. You know he's not anywhere in the area. If you would have stayed here, pushed forward here, this Nexus would have gone down. You would have been able to take out that Nexus and then just fall back and retreat. Why not? You would have had the advantage at that point. And then just continue that Warp Prism harass here, Warp Prism harass there, here, there. And as anybody saw this last game that I casted, Harass pretty much won the game for him, and it was just all on a single warp prism. But now once those warp prisms are cleaned up, Over's going to go ahead and do the knee-jerk reaction and just going to go ahead and push forward with a bunch more stalkers and a couple of void rays and a couple of Colossi. But then he's just going to go ahead and fall back onto this Zolnaga tower yet again, and it looks like this warp prism actually is still alive. So good for him. You could actually drop it yet again and force Ovo to actually pull back for a 3rd time. But both players are just going to go ahead and hang out just yet. We see 3-2-3 upgrades for Sneaky along that armor, shields, and attack. While still it looks like 1 and 2 for Ovo. Finally, he's going to go ahead and start using that forge, maxed out, mined out on those assimilators, and both players are just going to go ahead and just be in a standstill yet again. Taking a look at the workers killed, 42 for Sneaky, 7 for Ovo, so that's got to hurt. In the income tab, we see 24 harvesters for Ovo, 69 for Sneaky. You did the damage necessary for with those Archon drops, so good job. It looks like this fifth base for Sneaky is going to go ahead and be taken out. He does manage to cancel, saves himself 300 minerals, and another push is going to happen. Sneaky does finally get his groups up and ready. Guardian shields are put up, delaying that attack from Ovo, and again these stalkers are not blinked at all. The Archon does fall. A couple warping of zealots. Finally blink forward does occur. It's going to go ahead and try to focus fire down these Colossi. Thermal lances are finally going to be forced to pull back. This Immortal has already 8 kills to name 9 before it finally get down. Now it's only going to be pure Colossi versus a couple of Void Rays are still in the mix. So even if these Colossi do manage to carry the ground forces of Ovo, those Void Rays are going to do the damage necessary to finish off the attack. And finally, Sneaky's armies are at 0. The Immortals were actually the difference maker in this attack. These Immortals were able to tank a lot of the damage of their own Immortals, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that Colossi damage as well. And now Sneaky is in a world of hurt. This pylon is going to go down. It's going to go ahead and take care of 2 of those warp gates. Another one does actually take care of the 3rd one, and finally Ovo is going to be forced to pull back from the reinforcements from Sneaky, but the difference maker was that these Immortals were able to take care of those Stalkers. Finally, the Zealots are in to take care of the Colossi. That Void Ray is still up and running, has 10 kills to its name, and now it is on full-on retreat for Sneaky. And if he loses this base, he doesn't have much else. These mining bases are pretty much done. His main is done as well, and it looks like his army is done as well. The Colossus does take the high ground. A fresh warping of Zealots does manage to save a couple of these units, but the difference maker is that Void Ray. Sneaky doesn't have anything to shoot up, only Stalkers, and if Stalkers do get into play, Immortals are there to take them out very, very easily, but Ovo doesn't sense that and is forced to pull back. Looking at the workers killed count, we actually see quite a bit of workers were killed. Looks like around 21 workers were killed, but still, at the harvester count, we see almost double for Sneaky, so he still has that advantage, and he also still has that sneaky little base up and running that Ovo has no idea is up there just yet. Both players actually, it looks like Ovo is completely broke. He only has around 200 minerals at the moment, while Fresh Warpin does bring the minerals for Sneaky up to under 100, and it looks like a nice probe transfer at the last minute. Not sure why I didn't put these probes here. This one's a risk of being caught, so another attack does happen. Fresh Zealots, Fresh Stalkers at Void Ray is still there. This Colossi is going to do plenty of damage. 333 for Sneaky, while only 102 upgrades for Ovo. But upgrades right now don't matter, since that Immortal is going to do plenty of damage. Finally, an Archon is there to chase away the armies of Ovo, and the food count is definitely in the favor of Sneaky. 106 to 57, nearly double for Sneaky. But right now, it could still very much anyone's ball game. A High Templar is finally warped in, and looks like a couple of charge lots do charge forward into the mix. Sneaky doesn't see that, tries, and Ovo tries to do some sort of stutter step, but doesn't really have it quite down, and no volleys were exchanged in that retreat. And a fresh Swarping of Stalkers, and a couple of more Colossi aren't on the field. So Sneaky's earlier harassment is definitely paying off at the moment. Ovo is pretty much broke. Those Archons are going to go ahead and push forward, finally take care of that pesky Void Ray, and now a full-on retreat by Ovo. He does have his fourth base up and running. His third has a decent saturation, and his natural expansion still has quite a few mineral patches just left. So another fresh Warping of Zealots, and these probes get caught way out of position. Not sure exactly where they're going, but free kills are free kills, and I'm sure Sneaky is not going to mind. A proxy pylon or a forward pylon is put down by himself, and now it looks like Sneaky is just going to go ahead and wait for his Colossi. Two probes are in the mix. Another proxy pylon is going to be put down, and yet a third one is going to be put down as well. Zealots and Stalkers versus Colossi, Archons, and Stalkers. I'm going to go ahead and give that to Sneaky at the moment. And finally, this small force of Protoss units are going to be caught out of position. Sneaky knows this. Sneaky knows he has no chance. He's going to go ahead and pull back immediately, but this Archon looks like he might lose Blink. Does manage to chase it down. The shields are done. One more volley will bring it down, but this Archon actually does manage to save the day, lives to fight another day, and Sneaky does manage to take out the fourth base of Ovo. Finally, his Stalker Zealot army is going to go ahead and take out this proxy pylon. Why not take a free kill at the moment? Fresh Zealots are going to get ahead and push forward. No charge research just yet. The Colossi are going to go ahead and take full advantage of it by attacking from a distance. Sneaky pulls back, did the damage he wanted. Is going to go ahead and fall back and recoup his losses. At this point in the game, I would actually like for Sneaky to just start taking knowing just some sense of what happened during the entire game. He still doesn't have 3 probes per assimilator. Finally, it looks like Ovo is done waiting. He's gonna go ahead and push forward and die completely. The tech wasn't there. Stalkers and Zealots are not going good against Colossi and Archon, sorry to say. But at this moment, Sneaky does have the game well handed, and actually has the game won. GG, well played by Ovo. Left the game. That was it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If not, leave a comment down below on what I could do to make these more enjoyable for you. Also, if you want me to cast one of your own games, leave a link to it on one of the major replay sites in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to take care of it for you. Other than that, I am out of here. Blech.